In this video, we are going to be looking at the brand new R200 Ring Flash by Godox, and I'm also going to be comparing it to my trusty RIKO400 by Pixapro. So let's get into it. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tommy Reynolds. I'm a portrait and wedding photographer based in Southeast England, and I'm also a photographic educator as well. And today we're going to be looking at the R200 Ring Flash, which has been sent to me kindly by Essential Photo. And I'm also going to be comparing it to the Pixapro RIKO400, otherwise known as the RW400 by Godox. So what is a ring flash and when would you use it? Well, let's look at the R200 specifically and we'll go from there. The Godox R200 is a 200 watt second ring flash head designed to use with the Pixapro Pica 200 or Pica 200 Pro, also known as the Godox AD200 and AD200 Pro. The R200 Ring Flash connects to your Pica to the flash head port. The R200 could then be mounted directly onto your camera to provide your subjects with a soft, shadowless illumination, giving your portraits a more edgy fashion look. You can use it as a main light, though I personally prefer to use these as a fill light so that you can control the contrast in the shadows, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. With a variety of different modes from HSS to the multi-burst, it is perfect for people who shoot in studio and on location, from portraiture, beauty, fashion, product and even food photography. Now, I've been using ring flashes since 2016, and ring flashes are now very much a staple in my setup. I believe it creates a very unique style. Some people love it, some people hate it. We'll get onto the look in a moment. But I've been using this since 2016 when I was originally asked to review this product way back then. I can't look back on the video now, it's cringing. I mean, just look at how I describe it. It looks like with the Rico light. As you can see, it kind of just adds that little pop to it. I can't explain it. I don't think anyone should be allowed to describe a light that way. So I'm gonna hopefully give you a more technical and a more creative answer what this creates. Let's look at the weight comparison. So the RIKO400 is 1.77 kilos, whilst the R200 is 0.7 kilos. That is without the weight of the Pica 200 though. With the weight of the Pica 200, it is 1.93 kilos. So yes, that is more weighty than the RIKO400, but you're not going to be carrying both of these at the same time, at least not with your hands. It comes with a really handy pouch, as you can see here. You can throw it over your shoulder. It does come with a belt clip. So obviously you can pop that on your belt and then you won't have to worry about the weight of the Pica 200. The cord is a very generous length. It's possibly too long if you're going to be hand holding it. So instead I just wrap it around the Pica itself so that I don't have that much slack while I'm shooting with it. Though I didn't end up using the pouch, I ended up using this Peak Design clip. I think it's the version 2, don't quote me on that, though I will leave a link in the description box below. Having this attached to the Pica here, which means I can use, again, this belt clip without having to enclose the Pica in that pouch. By the way, the pouch is included when you buy it. So I can easily attach this to the Peak Design clip and that will attach to my belt. Again, and I would just then wrap that around the Pica itself so that I'm losing some of that slack, as you can see here, making it a little easier to operate. Now the R200 does come with a modding light, which is really great if you are in studio. If you are using, let's say, you've got a bunch of AD200s where that modding light, when it's in a giant softbox, is probably not bright and it's not illuminating and it's not helping your focus. The good thing about this is the modding light is very strong, which will allow your camera very easily to focus even if it's in a dark studio and you're using flashes that don't illuminate a bright modding light. So let's start with actually how you mount the camera to the ring flash. So the best way, the easiest way in my opinion to do it, let's start with the L bracket first. So you're going to make sure that that is at 90 degrees first and foremost. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to put your camera lens down first, make sure the lens cap is on. Then you're going to mount it with the thread at the bottom there. The next thing I would then tackle is the threads at the bottom. Really, you want to be pushing that camera as far out of the ring flash as you possibly can. If you have a lens hood, this is even better. The reason why you want to try and push that lens as far out as you can is if you have, unfortunately, very small prime lenses that sit here, which is kind of inside the ring flash, what's likely going to happen is that's going to flash, then the light is going to go straight into that lens and you're going to lose loads of contrast and it's going to look really ugly. So if you can, use the threads at the bottom and push it all the way forward. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to line it up so it's central. So for that, you'll be using the threads at the back here. Once you've lined it up to the middle and you're happy with it, then you can put your lens hood on and then you are good to go. The camera bracket can be folded up when not in use, and this enables you to quickly and easily store it in your bag without needing to remove the bracket every time. This is how my RIKO folds away, and it just sits comfortably in my think tank bag, and I can do the exact same with the R200, and it's even smaller, so that's even better. I should mention at this point, make sure you have the up-to-date firmware in your AD200 or AD200 Pro or Pico 200 or Pico 200 Pro, because when I received it, I did not have the latest firmware. In order for this to work, you need to have at least the 2.4 version. Otherwise, the modeling light will not work. I'll leave a link in the description box below where you can download your latest firmware. So let me show you some examples that I did when I used the R200 when I took some self-portraits. So for this setup, I used a 65cm rice bowl shaped softbox by Pixapro. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And I used the 2 layers of diffusion and the grid as well to create a really contrasty light. My settings were, as you can see here, ISO 100, 52mm f8 at 1/160th of a second. All I've changed here is the white balance. So this is a shot straight out of camera with the softbox only. As you can see, I've gone for a little bit of a Rembrandt style. You can see the shadows on the unlit side of my face are very contrasty. Now look what happens when I turn the R200 on and I dial it in to a specific power. We'll get to that, but here's what it looks like when I use it as a subtle fill. If I zoom in, you can see that the shadows have just been lifted. It almost feels like maybe you've messed around with the shadow or the black slider in Lightroom, but you can see that everything has stayed the same. Again, what I love about using a ring flash, this is why I use it, is it creates that subtle fill. And because it's on axis, you won't really see where that second flash is coming from. It could still feel like I've used only one light, but I've actually used two. And what's great about this is with that subtle fill, you can control how dark or how bright those shadows are. Now you might look at this and you might think that that's too bright. That's fine, you can dial it down. I think I have an example where I dialed it down a little bit. So again, this is straight out of camera with just the softbox. And here, very slight, that's very subtle fill there, very, very subtle on the fill light. And you can see, looking at the center of my eye, you see that tiny dot, that is what the R200 is doing. You can see the catch light from the softbox in the corner left there. Now, if you want to get technical, I like to have my ring flash approximately 2 to 3 stops under my key light. So for example, if my key light in this example was at f8, I metered my ring flash to be approximately f4. This is what's great about the ring flash. You can be as subtle or as obvious as you want to be. You might like it 1 stop under the key light. Me personally, I like it 2 to 3 stops under my key. I think it's the perfect balance between the shadows still remaining there, but just lifting slightly so that it creates that painterly quality to your images. I was able to do this using a flash meter, and if you want to learn more about flash meters, then just click the card up there or up there, and that'll take you to a very old video of me explaining 5 reasons why you should be using a flash meter. So now I want to show you what the R200 is doing on its own with that subtle fill. I want to show you exactly how much this is contributing to this image. So in this next shot, I'm going to turn off the softbox and you're only going to see the R200. You can see it's very subtle, very, very subtle. Doesn't look pretty, does it? But that's okay, because this is just our fill light. It's not the key light, but it's amazing how much that little pop is really doing. It just gives it that little, I'm joking. Here's another example in the same setup. All I've done is I've just added a little grade just to show you. There's the before and after. Quick tip, if you hit Y on your keyboard on a Mac, then it will show you before and after. I've been nicknaming this Mr. Phil for the last 6 years. And I'll be doing the same with this one. It is the ultimate fill light right here, and it's on your camera ready to go. No light stand to set up, no extra modifications set up, and it's the best thing in my camera bag, and it will really elevate your work to the next level and give it a truly unique style. My sister's been shooting some of the behind the scenes for this video, so I asked her to jump in front of the camera so that I could have an opportunity to actually man and operate this so I can feel and see what it's like. As you can see, here is an example of what it looks like straight out of camera. Again, this is without the R200, and this is with the R200. One thing I haven't mentioned is you can use this off camera if you wish. It does come with a bracket for you to attach this to an umbrella. Though personally, if you're buying a ring flash, I don't think you're going to be using this much, if not at all, off camera, but the option is there. Personally, I've never used it, but you can do so. The nice thing actually about it is because the bracket sits in the center, which means that your flash gets an exact central illumination inside the umbrella versus your flash up here and the umbrella sitting in the center here. So that's one good thing about using the ring flash with an umbrella specifically. Okay, so let me tell you some of the comparisons between the RIKO and the R200. First of all, this is a 400 watt strobe. Do you need 400 watts? Absolutely not. Not if you're using it as a fill light like I am. In fact, this is so bright that I've had to, when I first got this, I've had to include an ND filter in the center. So inside I've actually bought a very cheap ND. Don't ask me what the ND number is, but when I was using this, even at the lowest power, at 1/128th power, it was still sometimes too bright. Depending on my camera settings, it was still too bright, which is why I had to use an ND. Good thing about the R200 is because it's only 200 watts a second, it is more than enough. When I was using this in my self-portrait, I believe the power based on f8 to give me a roughly f4 exposure from the R200, I don't think I went above 1/16th power, and that's at 200 watts a second. So it is plenty, nowhere near gonna go up to full power, even with the 200 watt. With this, yes, it has to go on your belt. Some people may like that, some people may not. Me personally, when it was attached to my belt, I had shorts on, so maybe it would be different with a nice pair of jeans or chinos, but it was dragging down on my belt a little, even though it was just a Pika 200. If you're happy to use this on a tripod, then you can use a super clamp, which is what I'm using right here. You can mount that directly to the tripod, eliminating the worry of having this strapped to your belt or having it over your shoulder. So if you're planning to be fixed on sticks, then there's no worry there. Speaking about mounting your ring flash to a tripod, the R200 is going to perform better because A, it is lighter. It has also got the thread right in the center of it. One of the things that I really don't like about the RIKO is that the thread is kind of off center, it's off axis. And given the weight, it means that if you're not using a very strong tripod, then it will tilt. So is a ring flash for you? Me personally, I would definitely recommend looking at the R200. It's cheaper than this, it's newer than this, it's lighter than this, and it creates gorgeous illumination on the skin. It creates shadowless images depending on how high that power is, and the beauty of it and what I love about it is you can dial that up and down to create a look that you personally like. I've been using ring flashes for about 6 years and I don't intend to slow down now, and I will be using this at the photography show. So if you are watching this and it is before September 2022, then I will be at the photography show this year talking on the Pixar Pro stand and giving various talks on the external stages, and I will be demoing the R200. So if you do have any questions watching this video, either leave them down below or you can meet me in person, say hello, and you can ask any questions there as well. But that's about it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please make sure you hit the like or share button, or subscribe if you are watching this on YouTube. And as always, I will see you again next time. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.